I would like to present the poem Kidnap by Rupereik Petaya, and it's written in 1980. And the structure of the poem is normal, and it consists 8 stanzas with 2 to 9 lines in each, and there's no rhyme at all in the poem. And it's a post-colonial poem, and it's about how the Western culture has influence on the natives. And the voice of the poem shows us the feelings of the colonized towards Western imperialism. And in the poem we get to follow a Samoan kid who feels like he's losing his culture, which we see in stanza 7, where he says, Mama and Papa grew poorer and poorer, and my kidnappers grew richer and richer. I grew wider and wider. And the fact that he says that he grows wider and wider shows us that he's like losing his identity or his culture. And he actually blames his mama for this, which we see in the first stanza, where he says, I was 6 when Mama was careless. She sent me to school alone 5 days a week. And he blames her because she carelessly sent him to school every day. And he blames someone else for not fighting back. And he also says that the school is like a prison to him, and where he's being held against his will. We see this when it's in the last stanza. He says, on my release 15 years after, I was handed, among loud applause from my fellow victims, a piece of paper. And the fact that he sees him finishing his school is like a release shows how shows his point of view upon the education. And he says he gets a piece of paper, and which is probably a diploma for finishing, and this shows that it has no value to him. And he also says that he feels sad for the cost his education has to his parents, and he feels like it's worthless. It's a worthless certificate. And therefore the text gives us a negative view upon education. And in the text, in the poem, there's a few references to historical figures, which we see in stanza 3, where it says, I was held in a classroom guarded by Churchill and Garibaldi, pinned up on a wall, and Hitler and Mao dictating. And this, as a reader, gives us a chance to relate to the poem, because children all over the world has to learn about historical figures like these. And the title of the poem is a metaphor for his feelings about going to school and learning about another culture than his own. And a theme in the poem could be education, because there's another point of view upon education than in most text. Mostly it's positive view on education, and in this one it's negative. And another theme could be culture and losing your own culture. And we could compare the poem to another poem called We and They by Rudyard Kipling, and the fact that the English look upon the natives as barbaric and uncivilized in We and They. We could compare it to this one, where the English force the kids to go to school and learn about the culture, and therefore they give the natives no choice, and they see them as less worthy in this poem. And another point could be that in We and They, the English and the natives are described as opposites, and in this one the native is kind of the opposite as well, because the English think that the natives' culture isn't kind of good enough, and therefore they have to learn about the Western culture. And in both of the poems we see that there's being talked badly about the English people, when a lot of the other texts we've read, there's like it's the English talking badly about the natives, and yeah, and in comparison to this one, it's like opposite. There's in both of these poems, it's the natives talking badly about the English.